Hello, sexy people. We are back again with another fabulous interview. Today, I'm joined by George Goodenough. And George has got an incredible story of how he reversed his type 2 diabetes in just 5 months, to the point that the nurse says that George is the most spectacular success story she has ever seen. So, welcome to Happy Sexy Health. We are on a mission to end the unnecessary suffering of type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, or insulin resistance. So, if you're over 40 and you're ready to get into the best health of your life, then you are in the right place. In this series, we're bringing you fellow Brits who've transformed their health with a primal way of eating. So, welcome to the show, George Goodenough.
Thank you very much, Stephanie.
It is great to have you joining us. We know that as carnivores, primal eaters, that we are part of a global community. But it's also nice to meet fellow Brits who are on this path. We're a much smaller community here in the UK, and you are doing so much to bring together UK carnivores. Where about in the UK, first of all, George, do you live?
I'm in a little town called Bridgewater in Somerset in the southwest of England. If you think of the M5 and the cities of Bristol and Exeter, I'm halfway between Bristol and Exeter, and I am not far from the town of Glastonbury, which I believe you know, Stephanie, because I think I've heard you mention it in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I do know Glastonbury and Somerset, and I'm actually not too far away from you myself in Wales, so maybe about an hour.
Well, you must be Newport area if you're close.
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Exactly.
I've got a carnivore friend over there actually in Newport, so that's interesting.
Have you? You'll have to tell me
Absolutely.
about them afterwards.
I will indeed.
Let's get straight into this, George. What made you change your diet to this crazy way of eating?
Desperation. I didn't come through inspiration, but through desperation. One of my great beliefs is you have to have a very strong why. Dr. Lisa Wiedemann calls it the why that makes you cry. I had a very strong why. In March 1st, 2022, I had a disastrous blood test and weigh-in, and I was type 2 diabetic. I was just into the diabetic range. In the NHS terms, I had a score of 50 mmol. I think other viewers might know it as 6.7%. And on top of that, I weighed 21 stone or 293 pounds, which made me morbidly obese. Stick the hat on it, I also had very high triglycerides, 4.3 in UK terms, which is 285, I think, in the other way of measuring it. So I had full-blown metabolic syndrome. Oh, and a 44-inch waist, which is the other measure of metabolic syndrome as well, isn't it? So yeah, I was very ill. And in the previous 2 months, or just about the previous 2 months, I'd lost two very good friends to heart attacks. One of whom was a mere 69 years old, and he was a former Royal Marine and was very fit when I worked with him. But he kind of took his foot off the gas and became very fat and dropped dead at the age of 69 on Christmas Day of 2021. Then in January, a few weeks later, my great friend Tommy, who was 59 years of age and who was addicted to those horrible energy drinks, I won't name them, but I'm sure you know the ones I mean. He piled on a lot of weight as well through it, and he went to work one morning, only made it to the bottom of the stairs and dropped dead of a heart attack. So I knew at 21 stone, morbidly obese, type 2 diabetic, at the age of 56 and a half, I was probably going to be next. So I had a very strong why as to why I decided to change my diet.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's sad, but it does take things like that sometimes, doesn't it, to do it. But George, usually when you go to the doctor and you're diabetic or what have you, they just say eat healthy and they send you on your way with some drugs. So
yeah, exactly.
How did you know what to do?
I was incredibly lucky, Stephanie, because my doctor was very dismissive of me to the point of contempt, as were the hospital people who had been checking me out as well. They just basically, they blamed me. You could see it in their eyes. There was no advice over nutrition whatsoever. The doctor merely gave me two prescriptions. One was definitely metformin, I suspect the other was statins, but I was not really taking a lot of notice. And she dismissed me from her office. So that was me. I was going to be chronically and progressive type 2 diabetic, and I was going to be on metformins and statins for the rest of my life. But, and this is a big but, I walked out of her office and there was a nurse waiting for me in ambush, if you like. A nurse, Kathy. She took me into her office, sat me down and said, George, she said, what do you eat? And I said, well, I eat all the savoury stuff. I eat pasta, bread, rice. I eat curry, I eat all the good, healthy stuff. I said, I eat potato crisps and that's my snack. I said, I don't eat cakes and chocolate because I know they're full of sugar. And she said, actually, George, all carbs are sugar. What?
Right.
She said, all carbohydrates are sugar. I said, what, even the savoury ones? And she said, yes, they're full of starch. Starch are carbohydrates, carbohydrates are sugar. So that was like news to me, if you know what I mean, because I could not see how anything which tastes of salt and savoury could possibly be sugar, but it all is, as we now know. So that was my start point. Kathy probably saved my life, and I thought about it, and I realised straight away what I could cut out. And I said to her, as I left her office, I said, we can do this. So I went away and I put the prescriptions on the kitchen table and I started the research. I was incredibly lucky to have a good start point because back in about 2010, the chef duo, who you've probably heard of, called the Hairy Bikers. The Hairy Bikers featured Professor Roy Taylor from Newcastle University. Because they were cooking to manage type 2 diabetes. So they were cooking with very little sugar. Now, Professor Roy Taylor is a great man. I looked him up first and discovered that his approach is one of very low calorie. He discovered that if you actually feed people 800 calories a day based on smoothies or shakes, then within a few weeks, type 2 diabetes would disappear. However, what's not clear is how you maintain that when you go back to eating normal food, if you like. So that was a good start point. But I went back to work and my great colleague, Max, who's a bulldozer driver, taught me about the ketogenic diet, which I find very ironic because basically, the medical industry had no idea about how I should be eating. And yet a bulldozer driver on a construction site did know how I was supposed to be eating. So he taught me about keto. He recommended less than 50 grams of carbs a day. So I went away and basically I looked up the number of carbs in various fruits, vegetables, meat, and that sort of thing. I straight away got rid of the starchy foods, potatoes, rice, pasta, bread, the crisps, the chocolate, the pizza, the pasta. So the seasoned peas, I call them. Yeah. But I was left with fresh fruit and veg, and fish and meat, and I didn't really distinguish between the meat at the time, so I would eat things like fricadelle, which have seed oils in them, sausages, and a lot of processed meats, and things like surimi, which is processed fish, lots of Greek yogurt, but I was low carb. So I went through the low carb keto phase, and I went back in August of 2022, and I asked for another set of bloods, which they gave me. I remember I was only very dirty keto low carb at this time. And this, after 5 months, is the point where it came back as below type 2 diabetes. This was not the spectacular success story, but I did receive massive congratulations from the nurse at the time. And they wanted to know how I did it. And I explained that I was low carb and they were low carb friendly. And that was very good. So that was my first blood test after I'd been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. By this time...
Tell us what it was.
Oh, the blood test, right. So the blood test was, HbA1c was down from 50 to 36. Now, 36 mmol in the UK terms is 6 points below pre-diabetes. So I'd actually managed to cut my HbA1c by 14 points in British terms. So in the percentages, that's probably down from 6.7 to about 5.4% or thereabouts, or maybe 5.5. But I was definitely out of type 2 diabetes. So at this stage of the game, I had reversed type 2 diabetes and was in remission. More of that later. By this time as well, on the 4th of the 6th, 22, I dropped from 293 pounds to 253 pounds. So in the space of 5 months, by going low carb, I come down 40 pounds, which was again impressed people in the NHS that I was under at the time.
And I
So
bet
that
you
was,
were you not? Were you?
sorry?
I bet you were impressed. Was this?
Yeah, I was absolutely delighted, of course, because it basically proved that I was right to have thrown away the metformin and the statins. I was right to have adopted the low carb route. But what I didn't know anything about at that time was something called carnivore. So that came as a bit of a surprise. Pretty much at the same time as I got this good result, I discovered YouTube and started studying keto. And I specifically put in reversing type 2 diabetes, and the late, great, angelic Dr. Sarah Holberg appeared with her TEDx talk of 18 minutes and 6 seconds entitled Reversing Type 2 Diabetes Starts with Ignoring the Guidelines. So she recommended a high-fat diet, which I would then proceeded to follow. But at the same time, because I was moving in the keto space on YouTube, carnivore started appearing. And the first video which really shocked me was Dr. Ken Berry and Kelly Hogan. Woman eats only meat for 13 years. I thought, what effect is this going to have? And then I saw the effect that it had, the before and after photographs, the description of how she reversed so many other things, other illnesses as well. And that was it. As I say, I'm a great believer in the hymn Amazing Grace. And I can say that was the hour that I first believed in carnivore. I didn't go carnivore then, though, because basically I've done so well on keto, I didn't really feel the need to get rid of the healthy vegetables, the cruciferous vegetables and the salad vegetables, and also some citrus fruits as well. So I thought, well, I don't really need to go carnivore because I'm doing so well on keto. However, fast forward to August of 2023, when I made my first friend in the carnivore world. That friend is a guy called Chief Warrant Officer Larry Allhands of the Texas National Guard, retired. And he actually has a channel called Carnivore Soldier. He's kind of not active these days, but I'm still very much friends with Larry. And he was aiming really at veterans. So I'm a veteran of the 1st Gulf War, being an ex-soldier. And I actually did hit the first episode of his series called Mission Carnivore, about how veterans heal themselves on it. At that time, I was pretty much down to, I got rid of the cruciferous vegetables, but I was still eating salad vegetables because it was the end of summer and I enjoy salad with my barbecue. Avocado, cucumber, tomatoes, mushrooms, those sort of things. All low carb, olives, all low carb. But Larry wasn't over impressed with me, to be honest with you. And he did a follow-up video the next morning in which he said, I interviewed George yesterday. He said, that man has had great success. So how can I tell a man that he was wrong when he's had such great success? So I thought, okay, Larry, this is basically, you are giving me a telling off here. I am wrong. So I went away, thought about it, realized that he was right. And then I gave up all the salad vegetables and I went meat only. So I became carnivore in about September 2023. So we are talking 18 months ago now. So I've been fiber free for 18 months because because I still drink the coffee. I still have mustard on my steak. I still drink. I spent 3 years continuing to drink alcohol. So the very strict carnivores will probably argue that I'm not a true carnivore, but it's worked for me. I'm note on alcohol. This is day 24 since I've given up alcohol, finally. And I'm feeling so good now. And the bank account is looking so healthy that I will not be going back to carnivore, Stephanie. To alcohol. I will be staying on carnivore. So the alcohol's gone. Coffee's still there. Hey, but it's, as I said, I've had such success that I can't really, I can't complain, if you know what I mean. So fiber free since September 2023. And so 18 months. We got to September 2023, and that's when I went fiber free.
Yeah. So George, did you see any difference between when you were having a few green veg and when you decided to go fiber free?
Now that's interesting because probably the dramatic upturn in my gastrointestinal health didn't come till later down the line. There was one thing that definitely changed, and that was I will say, because the IBS was nowhere near as bad once I got rid of the fiber. The flatulence disappeared, well, as far as it can do, and also the smell of rotting vegetables in your colon disappeared with that as well, which is nice. And then the constipation pretty much disappeared to be pretty much replaced by the opposite, really. If you're familiar with the carnivore, must get to the toilet in a hurry. But that was far better than constipation, believe me. And the bloating as well, which is a part of the constipation. As I said, I often tell the story when about many years ago, I had a girlfriend, and I used to complain to her that we used to train quite a lot, and I was trying to train with what felt like a breeze block in my gut. And that was the bloating and the constipation, basically. And that was because I was eating vegetables. So that was the difference, really. Yeah, there was a difference, definitely. But my GI health has improved since I've taken further measures, which we'll come to later.
Yeah, so you said that before you were bloated on the veg and constipated, but then you went to carnivore. So tell us what happened there, what happened to your digestive, because I think it sounds like you still had some issues.
Yeah, the main issue was on if you're familiar with the Bristol scale, I think number 1 or number 7? No, 7 is the sort of the watery stool. So I had a lot of 6 and 7s, really, when really you should be 3 and 4. Yeah, so that was one of the issues. And again, it would come on suddenly, and it would, oh, crikey, I've got to go now. So that one, I think, was probably because I was eating a lot of rendered fat, to be perfectly honest with you, which I don't do anymore. So that was one of the problems. Yeah, everybody goes through the transitional period, don't they, when we have to change our microbiome over from eating vegetables and having vegetables rotting in your colon to having meat, which is dissolved in the stomach, in the stomach acid, and then gets digested in the small intestine. So very little matter actually arrives in your colon, which is the reason why many of us carnivores find that we actually only visit the toilet for number 2 purposes 3 or 4 times a week, as opposed to twice a day, which is what a lot of our unfortunate normal eating friends who believe that vegetables are healthy suffer from. So yeah, it makes a big difference. It really does to gastrointestinal health. And I will move forward actually now to what's improved my gastrointestinal health even further. Yeah. And that's back in May of last year, I started going raw carnivore. So I eat the mostly raw steaks. Now, I know that recently you did an interview with Dr. Kiltz, and Dr. Kiltz is a big advocate of eating raw steaks. He believes that raw fat is healthier than rendered fat. He believes that the minute you start heating the fat, it actually reduces its nutrient value. I have found that to be the case because going mostly raw carnivore, not fully raw carnivore, mostly raw carnivore has improved my gastrointestinal health to the point now where I am perfect on the Bristol scale. Everything is, I have no gastrointestinal pain whatsoever. The flatulence is very minor and not at all smelly. And what else can I say? And also it's produced a dramatic change in the weight loss as well, because I really plateaued for quite a long time on normal carnivore. But having gone mostly raw carnivore now, I've seen myself drop to my 19-year-old physique at the age of 59. A physique which I haven't seen since the age of 19, which is astounding to me. It really is. And incidentally, my waist has gone from 44 inches to 32. So I no longer have to buy clothes from the back of the rack or to go to the special fat boy stores. I can now buy straight off the rack at 32 inches.
Nice.
And yeah, it makes a hell of a difference. It really does.
Yeah. From 44 it was, you said at the start.
44 inches, absolutely. Yeah.
To 32.
No, 32. Again, I haven't seen that since my teenage days. I'm 59 years of age.
Yeah. And your weight started at 293, and today, what is it, George?
Today it was around 176 pounds. So it's 118 pounds, 117 pounds down as of today, which puts me in the 100-pound club, in which I join people like Kerry Mann and Papa Carnivore over in the States. I'm sure you know of him because I think he's a moderator on it with Ali, isn't he? So yeah, it's been a remarkable journey. I'm 3 years and 1 month into it, and it took time, Stephanie. It took time. Now, I think it's quite important that we flag up to some of your viewers, especially the ones who come to carnivore for weight loss and who perhaps are fairly early into the journey, that it's not a miracle cure. It is, well, it kind of is a miracle cure because I've had the miracle, but it takes time. I'm just going to go through some of the dates. So on the 1st of March 22, I weighed in at 293 pounds, and then I went low carb keto. And for, I think it was 9 months, 9 months, I had a steady weight loss. So I dropped down from 293 to 219 pounds. I didn't really change anything. I was pretty much ketovore in November of 22, but I put on a pound in that month, whereas previously I've been losing 6 or even more, 6 to 10 pounds a month. And then I lost another 3 pounds the following month, but then promptly had 2 months where I went back up again. And I went actually back up to 223 pounds. That was up, up from 219 217. So I put on an extra 6 pounds in 2 months. Then I had another dramatic weight loss on the 1st of March. So I went from 223 to 214, but then only dropped 3 pounds the following month and stayed exactly the same the following month after. So we're seeing ups and downs, but we're also seeing plateaus. We're seeing where we stay the same. I then had a very good period of dropping, and I dropped to 193 pounds on the 1st of January 2024. So I'm down the 100 pound mark now. However, the following month, I was back up to 200. The following month, 201, then 202, then 204, then 205. So, yeah, I wasn't, on this carnivore journey, I wasn't losing weight all the time. I was putting weight back on sometimes, but I wasn't changing anything. So it's an up and down thing. To quote Kelly Hogan, when she first went carnivore, she put 23 pounds on, but she stuck with it. And I don't know if you probably know Kelly, and a lot of your viewers might do as well. And she is stunningly good looking. So it's great. And then gradually I dropped back down again, 203, 200. I found 200 on the 2nd of August last year, but I remained exactly 200 pounds until the 1st of November last year, when I was back to 197, which I had been on the 1st of November the previous year. So in 1 year, how much did I lose, Stephanie? Precisely 0 in the whole year of carnivore. So yeah, that's the thing. People expect it to happen overnight. It doesn't. I hit a plateau for a year, but then suddenly on the 1st of December last year, when raw carnivore had really kicked in, I suddenly dropped 10 pounds to 187 pounds. Remained that on the 1st of January. And by the way, I don't cheat over Christmas. I'm purely carnivore over Christmas. But then since the 1st of January, I went 184, 178, 176 on the 1st of March. So now I'm down to the 176. But the point I wish to make to all of your weight loss viewers is that I'm 3 years and a month in, and it's been a really bumpy journey with a plateau of exactly 12 months. So my message to people is trust the process, listen to your body, and give it time. It is the time which is the big factor. Because I believe that I was not going to drop below 200 pounds once I went back up to it. But I'm now 176 and a 32-inch waist and clear of type 2 diabetes. So please, people out there, if you're 6 months in, if you're a year in and you're thinking, oh, it's not really working for me, it is working for you. It just takes time. It just takes time.
Yeah, it does. And regarding weight loss, we are all different because some people, it is just a progression and the weight just comes off for them. And then with you lost a lot of weight in the first year.
9 months, yeah.
In the first 9 months, 117 pounds down. So I'm not calling that a slow.
No, it wasn't. No. That was 117 pounds down is after 3 years and 1 month. In the first 9 months, I was down 40 pounds. Sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, I was down 40 pounds in the first 9 months, but it took me a long time after that to actually get down to the 176 pounds that I am now. And it's only really happened in the last 4 or 5 months. So that's over 2.5 years in before it really kicked in. So, yeah, there is hope out there.
What I'm saying is the main weight dropped off. The majority of the weight dropped off within the first, have I got this right, 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, that's correct. I would say so. Yeah, it drops off. Yeah, it drops off between really the 22nd of Sorry, the 1st of the 3rd, 22, and the 1st of November, 23. And the 1st of November, 23 was when the big stall, was when the 1 year stall happened. So, yeah.
Yeah. And during that time as well, I mean, a lot of people say that without changing their exercising, they find just eating carnivore, their body composition changes. They're less fluffy, if you will.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that also, the body composition changing. And I mean, to go from a 44-inch waist to a 32, I'm sure that, around the middle, your body feels very, 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 very different.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I had great boobs. I really did. Great man boobs. But they don't look very sexy on a man, though, do they, Stephanie?
Oh.
So, yeah, they've completely gone now. I'm now back into a slim fit shirt and a 32-inch waist. So, happy days. Happy, sexy, healthy. So, there we go.
Loving it. I'm loving it. You're looking amazing. And you have sent me some photos, so I will insert those in because it's quite phenomenal. The difference. You actually look, as I said to you, like a different man.
Yes. In fact, there was a famous story fairly recently, the Who the Hell Are You story, because I did a course in construction back in 2018 in which I took my qualifications. And I was on the course with a young lady, and we didn't see each other for 6 years. But then in May of last year, I turned up on a building site where she was also working. And I recognised her straight away. So I said, "Hello, mate. I haven't seen you for a long time." And I kind of got into a personal space because we were quite good friends. And she backed off and said, "Who the hell are you?" Okay. I said, "You go back to the course in 2018, and I'm George from that course in 2018. She took a step back and looked at me and said, "What the hell happened to you?" So, yeah, it is, as you so correctly say, I do look like a different man to the one back in the photographs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's just talk about that for a second, because how do you feel now compared with before? Because I think it's such a phenomenal change.
I feel like a totally different man, to be perfectly honest with you, because it's, I had a lot of other health problems, which I probably didn't really put down to eating carbohydrate. Shoe sizes, that's interesting. I'm a size 11, so I was still buying size 11. What I didn't realise is because I was so inflamed, the size 11s were too tight on me. So I was getting Achilles tendinitis, the very painful, which I was treated with by occupational health with massage, that sort of thing. But now the inflammation has gone. I'm back to a size 11 anyway, and of course the tendinitis is gone because I'm no longer wearing shoes that are too small for me. Plus, of course, the fact, as we know, carnivore heals things like anything with itis on the end of it, and I had tendinitis. So we talked about the type 2 diabetes, the weight and the triglycerides. That's the flagship, as I call it. Mental health. I've had very bad mental health pretty much all of my life. I've been prone to. My life's been a series of nervous breakdowns, some major ones, some minor ones. Basically through the trauma of boarding school, rejection by the parents. They're both dead now, so I can say that. And then also being a fat boy in boarding school as well. That wasn't very pleasant. Believe me, fat boys get picked on in boarding school. Then I was in the first Gulf War, one against Saddam Hussein. So that was fairly traumatic, as you can probably imagine. Divorce came shortly after that. And then massive work stress back in 2011, 2012. And I was actually diagnosed with work stress and had to take basically a year off work. And I was issued with Prozac. And I spent much of that time curled up on the end of the bed, totally depressed, staring at the ceiling and sleeping. So kind of chronic fatigue there as well. I've recovered from that. I still do occasionally get minor blip, shall we say. I had quite a bad one in November last year, which was associated with Remembrance Sunday and remembering some of the things from then. But my friends were able to drag me out of it within a week. And that's the difference between losing a week of your life and a year of your life. So yeah, thanks to carnivore, I think probably I was able to bounce back from that one. Migraines. When I was very ill, I used to get migraines all the time. They required Sumatriptan, a very, very strong painkiller. They've all gone. IBS we discussed the clothes. Right, now this is a bizarre one. As you can see, I have quite a bald top of my head. Just recently, I've noticed that I'm getting teenage acne on it. And what's going on? And I suddenly realised I'm getting a very fine growth of hair back. So my hair follicles on the top of my head have decided that I'm a teenager. So obviously the follicles are oily, and they suddenly give me these very sort of, they're not, not major acne, just one or two spots, which I haven't had since I was a teenager. Well, I haven't had since I went low carb, that's for sure. So that was interesting. Boils, just like Kelly Hogan, wherever skin touch skin, I used to get massive painful boils. They used to burst very loudly, very messily, and very painfully. All gone, just completely gone. Tinea, which is jock itch, athlete's foot, and the underarm one, gone. That was very expensive and very horrible. Cracking joints, whenever I used to get out of a chair, I used to sound like a firecracker going off, but that's all gone now. Yeah. Temporomandibular jaw disorder. Where the upper and lower jaw meet, that's where you're prone to get that, and that is very painful. It's clicking and grinding, and it also can cause earache. I used to have that quite badly, gone completely. Charlie horse, which is a cramp between the ribs, spontaneous, very debilitating. I haven't had a significant one of those since I went low carb. Mobility, I couldn't walk, couldn't climb stairs. I could barely climb stairs when I was 21 stone. I'm now climbing hills locally and going for a walk with another carnivore friend, actually, Ziggy from Carnivore Camper. She's out there on YouTube as well, and she filmed one of the walks that we went on, and she's got a wicked sense of humour, a really wicked sense. If you want to go and find a carnivore camper, basically two old farts putting the wheels to right and talking. Yeah, I won't say what, but go and find it for yourself. Right, so we've got mobility, chronic fatigue syndrome. Something which I think was fibromyalgia, because when I was morbidly obese with type 2 diabetes, I used to get shooting pains in my thighs, and if I put my foot down too hard or I hit the brake too hard in the car, I get shooting pain at my thigh. That's all gone. And gingivitis, I was always suffering from gingivitis, gum disease, which required treatment with metronidazole, a very strong antibiotic. Again, just all gone. So that's a quick overview of the rest of the benefits that I found since going low carb and carnivore. The list is endless, but it's just amazing.
It's incredible, and you just never believe that a simple change of diet can be so powerful and heal so many things. So thanks for detailing it out, George. I really appreciate, that you've got a list and you've taken the time to think about it before, because I think there'll be people listening who suffer from some of the things that you have and think, oh, it's nice to hear somebody else talk about that, and also maybe it would work for me as well.
Exactly. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I've built this list up basically off Dave Mack's channel, because he gets lots of people on and they say, I've lost this and this and this, and I suddenly realize, crikey, that applies to me as well.
Yeah.
So you often don't realize the benefits that are happening until you hear somebody else mention it.
Yeah.
And that has definitely been the case for me.
And George, I know this way of eating has really helped your partner Lainey as well. I don't know if you want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Lainey was unfortunately diagnosed with a very nasty form of cancer, breast cancer, back in September of 2022. So 6 months after I had learnt about low carb, and she had the poison cut burn treatment, which is the chemotherapy. She lost all her hair, the mastectomy, and then the radiation treatment. And we had thought that would be the end of it, basically, because nearly everybody else that we knew who'd gone through breast cancer was in remission, was back at work. But one thing we did not know, and that was in the small print, is that she had, after the mastectomy, there was a biopsy on the tissue, and it was discovered that she had Paget's nipple disease. Now, Paget's nipple disease is a very serious complication because it can lead to Paget's bone disease, which is bone cancer. So she had to go on very special treatment, which included 3 years, I think, of oral chemotherapy twice a day, which she's still on, but it also included bone infusions, in which you get something called bisphosphonate every 3 months, and it's intravenous. Now, one of the very, very rare side effects of this is you can get medically recorded or medically responsible osteonecrosis of the jaw. It means your jaw dies. So your jawbone is no longer functioning, your teeth sit in your jawbone, and the teeth die. So last Friday, Lainey was in hospital for 8 hours, and she had part of her jawbone removed and 5 teeth removed under general anaesthetic. Now, to go back slightly, we are great friends with DC from DC Learning to Live. Are you familiar with his channel, Stephanie? He's been a massive friend to us. He really has, and a great inspiration. And basically, here's a cancer expert, as you know his story. But Lainey and I have discovered the Warburg effect. Otto Warburg, from before the Second World War. He was a German scientist, which meant that he was kind of discredited after the end of the Second World War, and he was largely forgotten. But Professor Thomas Seyfried from Boston University has picked up the mantle. So we understand that cancer can only feed on glucose and glutamine. Now, glutamine, I think the body produces naturally. However, as you well know, Stephanie, if you don't introduce exogenous glucose, then you basically go a long way towards preventing the cancer from feeding and from growing. Lainey now understands this, which means that she keeps her sugars as minimal as possible. If she possibly could, she would be full-blown carnivore. However, you try chewing a ribeye steak when you've had 5 teeth removed. So unfortunately, as I told DC on his channel yesterday, she's having to live on survival food at the moment, which is yogurt, soup, ice cream, anything which she doesn't have to chew. But she did make a comment the other day that she can't wait to get her teeth back into a ribeye when she eventually gets her proper set of false teeth. Yeah, so she's very much carnivore orientated. As we know, carnivore tends to make you heal quicker. So bear in mind the fact that Lainey had a general anaesthetic, 5 teeth and part of her jaw removed. And on Saturday, she was really very ill, took some morphine, went to sleep. Since then, she's up and about. She's up and bloody bouncing. She won't stay in bed. We're on Wednesday today, 5 days in. She went shopping today, for God's sake. She's been up doing all the washing up and hoovering, all the housework. 5 days after an operation which would have kept most people on their back for 2 weeks, as I expected her to be. I expected her to have to wait on her hand and foot, but no. She's out of bed now and she's up and being Lainey. The only thing she won't do really is go out socially, because she does have a couple of unfortunate gaps in her teeth, and she can't wait to get the teeth back in. As a matter of interest, Stephanie, I think I'm going to go and visit a friend of yours this Saturday, Lauren Tucker.
Oh yes.
I want to visit her. And Lainey was supposed to be coming, but she feels she doesn't want to meet somebody for the first time with no teeth. So, but having said that, I believe that we are actually going to go shopping a very good butcher's near where Lauren and I live. And I think she might get to meet Lauren then, because Lauren wants to come shopping as well. So hopefully they will get to meet up fairly shortly. So it's an amazing story of quick recovery through carnivore, or through very low carb anyway.
Yeah. Well, thanks, George, and send Lainey lots of love, because it's such a hard thing to go through, all that she's been through, and for her to spring up like that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, she's a remarkable lady. As are you, Stephanie, of course. I know your story as well.
Yes, yeah. Well, we all get through what we have to, and thank goodness for this healing way of eating, because otherwise we would just be doing what the doctors say: eat healthy, avoid red meat, fat your fat,
exactly.
Which are the very foods which are the most nutritious. So it is almost a crime. That is what people are told.
Totally agree.
Believed. But I can't leave this, George, without talking about your event. So please do tell us about your event in the UK.
Indeed. Okay, so what we're trying to do is gather community here in the UK, which we're doing very well. This is the first time I've actually met you tonight, Stephanie, but I have lots of other friends in the UK. I'm sure we have a lot of crossover friends as well. I think you're at the December the 14th Healing Humanity event. I had a prior commitment, but everybody else was there. All of my mates were there, as in Lee Copus, Alex Cannon, Lee Copus, Ken Carnivore, Alex Cannon, Carnivore for Life, Lauren Tucker, Farming Life Farm, Healthy Carnivore UK, who is Sarah Wright, Carl Day, the Primal Lifestyle, various other people as well. But they're all my friends on WhatsApp, and I was the only one who couldn't make it that day. But such is life, I know. Otherwise, I would have got to meet you as well, Stephanie. But we hope to meet up in August, because on August the 2nd, myself, Carl, Sarah of the Healthy Carnivore UK, and Lauren have formed a 4-person committee to organise the Great British Meetup. It will be a one-day event. It will be happening on a place called Sourdown Farm in the village of Butley, which is 4.5 miles south of Glastonbury. So it's in a very well-known part of the world, as you can testify, a very beautiful part of the world. And my friend Ashley, who I've known for 30 years through rugby and through horse racing, is going to be the caterer. Now, Ashley is the gentleman I told you about who is the butcher who we're going to go and visit in the fairly near future. Ashley has known me for 30 years, which means that over the last 3 years, he has watched the miracle unfold for me. He has watched me change unbelievably. So he is totally and utterly on board with carnivore. To the point where he actually said to me the other day, I'm edging towards carnivore myself. He has about 3 or 4 carnivore customers already, people that I don't know, but he says that they are his favourites, his best customers. So he is absolutely carnivore crazy. He knows that he will be providing the meats for the meetup, and the central piece will be it's called the Happy Hog Roast. So the main feature will be the full hog with the crackling. However, obviously the fact there are some strict lioners out there, so he's also going to be providing beef and lamb, beef roast and lamb roast. Now, obviously when he does his normal thing, he will have stuffing and applesauce and bread. But because Ashley knows what carnivore is, we've actually negotiated. He now understands that there will be no bread, no stuffing, no applesauce there. We talked about the English mustard. Because I eat English mustard, I've nodded it through, because I think some people will still use it. But that and salt will be the only condiment. So we will be safely eating meat only, and there will not be the temptation of bread or stuffing or applesauce available. So it is a massive advantage having a friend of 30 years who understands carnivore as the caterer. The farm itself is absolutely beautiful. It has a big indoor hall. It has superb outdoor areas. It does have the facilities for camping, but at the moment they have no showers, but they do have toilets. That'll be, I think, the nominal fee of £10 a night. And they also have a giant marquee and a smaller marquee as well. So we're hoping to have about 200 people there, because even if we can't fit it in from the carnivore community, Ashley has assured me that his local farming community, who are big meat eaters, will come along and make up the numbers. So yeah, but I strongly suspect actually that with the way things are going, we will get the 200 from the carnivore community anyway, because as you know, you've very kindly given us some advertising space on your Carnivore UK Events Hub. I think that's a great one, and we've had a bit of interest from that, and we've had a bit of interest from the original concept video which Carl at the Primal Lifestyle put out. So we are very hopeful, we are very confident that we will get the full 200 subscriptions. Maybe one of our fears is oversubscription, but we will have to deal with that as the time comes. And as Carl points out, if we can get 200 people undercover, but if the weather's looking good, maybe the week before we can actually open it up again, to get extra tickets, because they actually tells me that where we're going, they've actually have gatherings of up to 450 people, including the open air. So it's a big arena, if you like, for what we want. Oh, and the other thing is as well, Lauren's pulled a few strings, as Lauren does, and Richard Smith, Keto Pro, is set to be the main speaker. Lauren is great friends with Dr. Kiltz, and she's going to go really ambitious and suggest it's him, but that's a real wait and see. But as we know, Dr. Kiltz can be very spontaneous when he gets to be in his bonnet. So, you know, if you think, if I would quite fancy going to Glastonbury, you just never know. But that's not a promise. Believe me, that is not a promise. That is just maybe a dream or a fantasy. I have approached Kerry about it, but unfortunately, Kerry can't make it. He is on board, because the other thing I have to mention about the event is it will be a non-profit organisation which Carl is setting up, and it will be costed out, and any monies which don't get used for the event itself will be going straight to Healing Humanity. If anybody are unfamiliar with Healing Humanity, that is the logo. And I have told Kerry that's what we will be doing, and he has asked me to reach out to him near the time with the details, and he will feature on his channel, which has just hit 300,000 viewers. So we are going to go pretty big, I think, and we are expecting to be fully subscribed.
Well, George, I want to thank you for being on the show tonight. It's been absolutely phenomenal to hear your incredible story, Lainey's story as well. And we can't wait for August the 2nd. Now, as soon as you put the link out, we will put it on I'll put it with the video, but I'll also put it in our UK Carnivore event hub. If you're listening and you're from the UK and you want to know about carnivore events, do join our Facebook group. And George, thanks for all the details and everything you're doing to boost the UK carnivore community. It's been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important. I mean, the thing is, Stephanie, I think you're one of the leaders in it now, as is people like Lauren. So go and find us on YouTube. Come and find Stephanie. Well, obviously, you must have found Stephanie already. Go and find Lauren. Go and find Alex Carnivore for Life, Lee Copus Kent Carnivore, Paul, UK Carnivore Guy, Sarah, Healthy Carnivore UK, Carl, the Primal Lifestyle. Go and find us because we're out there. Speak to us on comments. Most of us are willing to chat on email. That's how I first met Lauren, for example. And yeah, we're out there, folks. And there's a lot more carnivores out there than we realise. I've actually realised now that Stephanie lives not far from me over in Wales, and she has a neighbour that she didn't know about who is a carnivore, so who's a great friend of mine. So yeah, you might find that there are carnivores a lot closer to you than you think. It's just that nobody's put you together yet. Go out there. Your vibe finds your tribe. Go and find your tribe. Get together, folks, and have a good time and get well. Sorry, get happy, sexy, and healthy.
Thank you. Thanks a million, George. And thank you also for watching or listening. And if you know somebody who really needs this information and would like to reverse their type 2 diabetes, do share this video. Bye for now, sexy people. See you soon.